Okay, this is part 2 of our A3.1 video. So with A and C, I was given the slope or could easily find the slope, and I was given the y-intercept. For B and D, I'm given the slope, but not the y-intercept, a point. So if you're given the point and you're given the slope, you need to use point-slope form, which I'm writing here. So this is going to be x1, y1, and my slope is obviously m. So I'm going to plug this in. Y minus 4 equals 3 halves times x minus negative 3 will become x plus 3. Then I need to distribute the 3 halves. So y minus 4 equals 3 halves x plus 3 halves times 3 is 9 halves. Then I need to add 4. So y equals 3 halves x plus 9 halves plus 4 should be 17 halves. But if my math is wrong, just fix that. So if you look at B, I can't say y equals 3 halves x minus 4 because 4 is not the y-intercept. 17 halves is the y-intercept. Okay, lastly, I'm going to look at problem D. So first I need to find the slope, which I'm going to do using the slope formula. So negative 3 minus negative 1 over 1 minus 5 is going to be negative 2 over negative 4, which is 1/2. Now that I have the slope, just pick one of the 2 points that you want to use point-slope form with. It doesn't matter which one you want to pick, so I'll just pick the first one. You'll get the same answer regardless of which point you pick. So I'm going to say y minus negative 1. So y plus 1 equals 1/2 times x minus 5. Distribute the 1/2, and you get 1/2 x minus 5 halves. Then subtract 1, and we get y equals 1/2 x minus, that should be 7 halves, but again, check my math. So the y-intercept here is negative 7 halves. The slope is 1/2. If you missed something there, just rewind the video and watch that example again. Example 4, we're going to write some more equations, but given different pieces of information. So for E, I'm given through the point 0, negative 1, and parallel to this line. So this tells me what the slope is. The slope of this line is 5 halves. So the slope of a line parallel is also 5 halves. So then I would automatically ask myself, is this point the y-intercept? What do you guys think? It is the y-intercept because that x value is 0. Since that's the y-intercept, I don't have to use point-slope form. I can just make this y equals 5 halves x minus 1. But again, I can only do that because the x value here is 0. For F, it says it's perpendicular to y equals 5x plus 4. So the slope of this line is 5. The slope of a line perpendicular will be the opposite, so change the sign, reciprocal, 1/5. So I have m equals negative 1/5 through the point 3, 1. So can I just say y equals negative 1/5 x minus or plus 1? What do you guys think? The answer to that is no, because 3, 1 is not the y-intercept. If it were, that 3 would be a 0. Since it's not the y-intercept, I have to use point-slope form. So y minus y1 equals negative 1/5 times x minus 3. So y minus, oh, I don't know why I didn't plug this in. This should be y minus 1 equals negative 1/5 times x minus 3. So y minus 1 equals negative 1/5 x plus 3/5. Add 1, and I get y equals negative 1/5 x plus 8/5. Lastly, we're going to write the perpendicular bisector of a segment with these endpoints. So let's go ahead and plot the endpoints. 0, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The good news is this is my y-intercept. So if I can find the slope, I can just plug it into slope-intercept form. So through 0, 6, and 8, negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so it wants the perpendicular bisector through this line. Oh, so what I just said wasn't true. If I were writing the equation of this line, I could use this y-intercept, 0, 6. But it doesn't want the equation of this line. It wants the equation of the perpendicular bisector. So let's think back to geometry. The perpendicular bisector is going to cross through this and be perpendicular, which means my slope will be the opposite reciprocal from the green line. And then a perpendicular bisector makes congruent segments. So to get a point on this line, I'm going to have to do the midpoint formula. So first, let's find the slope of the green line. The slope of the green line is going to be negative 4 minus 6 over 8 minus 0, which is negative 10 over 8, or negative 5/4. This is the green line. So what would be the slope of a line perpendicular to that? 4/5. Now, to get a point on that circle, on that line, I need to find the midpoint of the green line. Do you guys remember the midpoint formula? So that is going to be the average of these 2 points. So this will be 0 plus 8 over 2 and 6 plus negative 4 over 2. So 0 plus 8 over 2 is going to give me 8 over 2, which is 4. 6 plus negative 4 over 2 is going to give me 2 over 2, which is 1. Now I have the slope and a point. I can use point slope form. So y minus 1 equals 4/5 times x minus 4. Distribute 4/5 and then add 1. So y minus 1 equals 4/5 x minus 16/5. So y equals 4/5 x. And if I add 1, that should be minus 11/5. But check my math in your calculator. Again, if you need to see that example again, just rewind the video. Okay, let's see what we have left. So we have a word problem. Oh, and then just review. All right, for this problem, it says the Pennsylvania State University had the following enrollment of students in 2000 and in 2008. And A says, assuming the enrollment growth is linear, find a linear model that gives the enrollment in terms of the year t equals 0, corresponding to 2000. So this is important. It says, find a linear model that gives the enrollment in terms of the year t. So that means my x value for my ordered pair has to be the time. So if 0 is 2000, can you see that the first ordered pair is 0, 40571? And then the second ordered pair is 8, 44112. So then I need to find the slope and write the equation of the line. So the slope is going to be 44112 minus 40571 over 8 minus 0, which, plug this into your calculator to check my math. I'm getting a slope of 442.625. And then luckily, I'm given the y-intercept. If we look back here, that's the y-intercept because x is 0. So y equals 442.625x plus 40571 is the linear equation. For B, quickly, you need to plug in 10 and 15 for x. So you guys will have to do this since my video is coming to an end. So y equals 442.625. First do 10 plus 40511, and then do 15 plus 40511 to get the answer there.